Chapter 1-1. A young man with black hair and yellow eyes comes to his senses. A beautiful girl looms over him. She's wearing only a house dress. A representative of the fair sex leans over the guy, noticing that he has woken up. Her eyes sparkle with impatience. She's going to be disappointed. The brunette gets out from under the insidious seductress with one quick jerk, breaking the distance by as much as 3 meters. And yes, all he's wearing is a pair of duck shorts. The beauty lights a cigarette without even getting out of bed. She only takes a sitting position to communicate face to face with the other person. The girl is a little surprised that the effect of the drug ended so quickly, but then she just laughs, noting that this is even better. The hero is in shock, not understanding what is happening. Then, abruptly, he thinks that he has been reborn, looking at the smoking companion, who very seductively put one leg on top of the other. He screams in realization, clutching his head. It turns out that the hero's journey began a long time ago. 300 years ago, he accidentally entered the fairy world on Mao Qingcheng, and after that, he began his cultivation journey. A powerful bolt of lightning struck the center of the circle, symbolizing the balance of life and death energies yin and yang. The hero was hovering over this place at the same time. At that time, he was wearing a white cloak, under which was the usual clothes of a traveler. On his back was a beautiful sword that shimmered with yellow energy. During these 300 years, the guy had worked hard to find knowledge, training day and night, becoming a swordsman cultivator. The path of the hero was very difficult, but when he still managed to reach the peak of cultivation, he was slightly disappointed. He did not reach the realm of eternity, but instead opened the corridor of space and time, returning to Earth when he was 17 years old. Realizing what is happening now, the guy turns his gaze to the girl who is in no hurry to do anything, waiting for him on the bed. The most amazing thing is that the hero does not know who this woman is. A representative of the fair sex, seeing the strange state of her partner, decides to call him to her, claiming that he should not be shy. At the same time, she calls him cute. The guy puts on a robe, saying that, apparently, they do not understand each other a little. He tells her that he's leaving. After these words, the girl abruptly jumped out of bed, repeating the words about leaving. She notices that her partner wants to leave without asking her permission. She understands that her name is Yichengxi, and that the guy is very wrong if he thinks that she will just let him go. The girl also claims that another problem of the interlocutor is that he saw her in these clothes. A representative of the fair sex begins to gradually reduce the distance with a cigarette in her hands. When Yichengxi comes within arm's reach, the hero abruptly turns on the spot, starting to move towards the exit. The girl strongly dislikes this behavior of the guy, but she does nothing, only carefully observing his actions. The hero looks over his shoulder at the interlocutor because he feels such a gaze on the back of his head. Putting a cigarette in her mouth, the representative of the fair sex sharply grabs the guy with her palm by the wrist. This surprises the latter a little, but he is not lost. He grabs her wrist with his free hand, trying to break free of her grip. The confrontation between the two forces begins. This phenomenon is perplexing to Yichengxi. She clearly wasn't prepared for this. The hero mentally curses, noting that there is no energy in his young body at all. The strength quickly runs out, which is why the guy loses the ability to resist. A powerful burst of energy pushes him away from the girl. The guy confidently coordinates his actions in flight, so that he manages to land calmly and painlessly on the floor. Then he notices that his school uniform is hanging on a hanger. This gives him another sign that he really should go. The hero quickly grabs his clothes, then at the speed of a bullet flies out of the apartment. Yichengxi arrives at a loss as to what to do. A representative of the fair sex takes a puff of tobacco smoke, mentally noting that the guy may have evaded her impulse. The girl is more excited by this cat and mouse game, because for some reason she is sure that the guy will not be able to escape from her. She already believes that Chu King is her big white rabbit, so she can't let him go. Meanwhile, the hero finds himself on the street. He hadn't noticed that he was running barefoot. His foot hits the hard asphalt, and he finally realizes that he's back on the ground. There are a lot of glowing signs around, and passers-by pass by without even noticing the guy who was only in one dressing gown on the street. Chu King raises his head to the sky, which is partially covered by high-rise buildings. The weather is sunny outside, and people are rushing about their business. A smile appears on the hero's face. Anticipation builds inside. He realizes that after 300 years, he has finally returned to Earth. His smile came from the fact that today he would finally be able to see his father, mother, and brother again. Then he hears a young couple talking nearby. A representative of the fair sex with bright red hair declares that all men are really troublesome. She notices that her man started crying from just buying a bag. She doesn't understand it at all. It doesn't suit the brunette, who continues to sob, so the girl assures him that she will buy this bag for him today, so he shouldn't cry. It really calms the kid down. The brunette literally runs into the fair sex with a hug, noting that she is very kind. The hero watches this couple, not understanding at all what is happening. The scene makes him lose his concentration for a few moments. Then he is gently moved to the side by a man's hand, the owner of which claims that the baby should move aside and not block the road. A huge beefy girl in a work uniform is carrying 2 bags of cement. She towers 2 heads above the hero, who is thrown into a stupor by this. He watches where the fair sex is moving, after which he realizes with horror that there is a road repair going on, which was taken up exclusively by girls. Chu King is startled by what is happening. He starts to wonder what the hell happened here, because people are so different from when he disappeared. He begins to assess the situation, realizing that almost all the work is done by the fair sex. They carry heavy loads, repair roads, work as taxi drivers, and protect the rights of citizens as members of the police. Because of this picture, the guy's lips twitched. A mysterious smile appeared on her face. Chapter 1-2. To understand all the changes in the surrounding society and the world as a whole, the hero sends to the only place where he can get this knowledge without burning himself. This place, of course, is the library. Chu King picks up a mountain of books, walking straight into the city library. It turns out that in ancient times, in the spring and autumn period, a catastrophe occurred that changed the physical condition of women and made them smart and strong. The book tells the story of a woman named Kong Mo, who was born in that very year and raised Confucianism to respect women more than men. This change in imperial power caused the emperor to hand over his throne to the princess instead of the prince. In the 21st century, under the influence of modern changes, the concept of changing the attitude of women to men arises, although the idea of women's superiority over men still exists. When a man is married and if he wants to get a divorce, then the wife cannot give a divorce. In this world, it is normal for a woman to woo a man. After reading the book, Chu King closes it, starting to reflect on the current situation. He thinks it's really funny. Women are superior to men. Women even ask for the hand of men. This sounds like a complete absurdity. He is aware that he will now have to accept the new rules in the world, but he does not know if his home exists here. The guy goes back to the place, which was considered home until his disappearance. He notices a man sweeping the floor. This person is wearing house clothes, as well as a pink apron with flowers. The man also notices the guy. Chu King's eyes sparkle with joy. The hero takes off, hugging his father. His name is Yuan-Tu Lin. He immediately clarifies whether his son did not say that he would go to school, and then immediately go home. The father sniffs at the smell of the hero's hair. Then he realizes with horror that it's a perfume. He shivers at the thought. Yuan-Tu Lin takes his son by the shoulders, asking if he has ever met a girl. Without waiting for an answer, he notices that he has already said many times that it is dangerous for a beautiful guy like him to walk. The man claims that even if it was his classmate, he always needs to be on the lookout. Kai King is unsettled by his father's unusual behavior, so he continues to just listen to him. A man picks up a newspaper that has quite funny news. Yuan-Tu Lin immediately tells how a 15-year-old boy confided in his classmates, and they raped him and recorded everything on camera, after which they distributed the video. The father notices that there is no future for such a boy. This news introduces an even greater stupor to the hero, who clearly did not expect something like this. Seeing the surprised look in his son's eyes, the man continues his speech, noticing that the guy finally understands how scary it is. After that, Yuan-Tu Lin switches to his daughter, who, according to him, always played a fool, because of which she dropped out in the 3rd year of university and could not get a job after that. And now she is sitting at home, and they no longer expect anything from her, but they have with their mother a son that they have high hopes for, so he should go to a good university. Yuan-Tu Lin notes that his son is still very young, so he asks that he not let bad women deceive him in the future. Chu King raises his hands for change, saying that he understands everything perfectly, so his father doesn't have to worry about it. In order not to continue this topic, the hero takes the conversation in a different direction, asking about where mom is. Yuan-Tu Lin exhales heavily, stating that his mother is still discussing her business with the other people outside. The man notices that things are not going well right now, and the woman herself is in a difficult situation. Seeing that it's hard for his father to talk about this, the guy notices that it's already time for dinner, so he's going to call his sister. This surprises Yuan-Tu Lin a little, but he agrees with it. The hero goes up to the 2nd floor and goes to the door that should lead to the sister's room. He gives the door handle a gentle tug, then opens it a crack to look inside. My sister, on the other hand, is sitting in her headphones, all red and giggling in an unusual way. Chapter 1-3. The hero's sister is called Chu Zio. She's sitting on a chair in her shirt sleeves. On the table is a laptop, on which she looks at naked men's photos in some messenger. Aloud, the girl notices that this is good or bad, but he knows how to release her lust and quickly take off her panties. She offers a stranger a gift, claiming that money is not a problem. Next to the laptop on the table is a stack of napkins, some of which have already been used. Chu King closes the door with a startled look. not sure how to react at all. Sheep jump in the hero's head. What he's seeing now seems so crazy that he's starting to think it's a dream. He shouts very loudly, apparently to recover from the shock. Chuzayo jumps up in his chair at the sudden sound. She collapses next to him, not knowing what the hell is going on. The hero's sister takes off her earpiece and leaves the room. It's clear from her face that she's still flying around in her wild fantasies. Chu King sees this clearly. In addition, a representative of the fair sex left her room only in one shirt, which somehow hides her intimate areas. The hero tells his sister that she should hurry up, because it's time to eat. He is also interested in, was she watching an adult video in her room just now? Shuzayo says that this is not a good thing, so now it's time for live broadcasts. She notices that it was just a handsome man with a hot body, but looking at him, she already received such a huge pleasure that words cannot express it. Then the nurse comes to her senses abruptly, realizing that she is still talking to the schoolboy. She says it's too early for little kids like him to know, humming some melody and stretching her neck from sitting at the laptop for a long time. The sister goes to the kitchen, no longer paying attention to the hero. What he hears causes a small laugh from the guy, because he is not used to being pointed out to him about his age. The hero and his father are sitting in the kitchen. Yuan Tu-lin peels an apple while slicing it into slices. The guy eats them. At this time, Chu Zio walks into the kitchen. She is already dressed in a charming black dress that accentuates her figure. She says she's having dinner with friends tonight and will be back late. Also, a representative of the fair sex asks her father to give her 1,000 yuan. The father, without looking up from peeling apples, specifies what they will do there. Chu Zio claims that her friends suggest that she start a business together, so she goes to discuss everything with them. Yuan Tu-lin looks angry, because he knows that his daughter is probably lying, but he decides to trust her. The man says that the daughter should take an example from her brother, because if she was at least half the same as her brother, then they would not worry with her mother. After receiving the money she wants, Chu Zio doesn't understand why she should take an example from her brother, because he is just a man who can still marry a rich woman, but she has to take care of herself, so mom and dad should support her in the future. After that, the nurse informs that she is leaving. It turns out that she took the wallet and took out the money herself. Yuan Tu-lin asks her daughter not to spend everything at once and save some money. He notices that his daughter should not think that her mother earns money so easily, so he urges her not to waste everything. When Chu Zio leaves, the hero still decides to ask his father if it's okay for him to let her go so easily. My father doesn't know what else he can do. His argument is based on the fact that his sister is a girl, so he just can't tie her to the house as well as his. He explains that a woman should look for work, but his sister is set up differently. After that, Yuan Tu-lin asks her son to forget about it, claiming that as long as she doesn't go limitless, she will be fine. The hero almost choked on these words, realizing that this is a completely opposite world. Then he hears strange noises outside the front door. A woman in formal clothes pulls the handle as she enters the house. She closes her eyes with fatigue. She almost falls asleep on the move. This is the hero's mother. Her name is Chu Tianan. The guy from the doorway hugs his mother. Chapter 1-4. The woman immediately draws attention to the unusual behavior of her son. She asks what happened to him, then assumes that he doesn't have enough pocket money. The woman takes out a few bills and passes them to her son, then begins a conversation with her husband. Shu Kin steps aside with a dejected look. In his mind's eye, he notices that mom used to be a stingy person, so he often even cheated her out of 10 yuan to go to an internet cafe and play games. But now mom is willing to give him money. The hero extends his hand with the money back to his mother, stating that he does not need it. Chu Tianan claims that his son is a stupid child, so he just needs to keep the money to himself. She emphasizes that even though their family is going through difficult times, it will not affect him because his academic performance is the best reward for her. After that, the woman immediately decides to find out where Chu Zio is. Yuan Tu-lin, pouring water from a jug into a glass, claims that he doesn't want to talk about it, but this girl does whatever she wants. A man hands his wife a glass of water, while she says with understanding that her daughter is still fooling around. The woman notes that she did not raise her for this, but Chu Tianan believes that her daughter will soon realize the importance of her future duties as the head of the family. The man notes that his wife is always right. The hero, seeing all this, cannot accept it just like that, even if he knows that this is a parallel world. But seeing his parents like this is beyond him. The hero realizes that he just can't accept it. At the same time, the mother hugs the father, saying that boys should be bright and girls should be bad, so let her go for a walk, because this is not such a big problem, since she is still their girl. Yuan Tu-lin agrees to these words. He notices that his wife is hungry, so he is going to cook her something to eat. Chu King's mood is falling through the roof. He thinks back to where he saw a similar scene. Memories from some romantic movie cut into my memory, from which the hero mentally begins to vomit a rainbow stream. Realizing that this is already too disgusting, he turns around, informing his parents that he has gone to his room. The guy is very unpleasant to realize that he is powerless here. Entering his room, the brunette notices the perfect cleanliness. The entire environment is so polished that it glitters. There are a couple of children's toys on the bed. The guy walks into the room with a little surprise, not fully believing that this is his room. Since women's rights prevail in this world, every family always wants a daughter to be born. This judgment has become deeply ingrained over the past few centuries, creating a huge difference between the male and female populations on the planet. That is, there are still tens of millions of single women in their country. Women who want to get married must have a house and a car to marry a beautiful man. And men, as long as they are beautiful, will be the target of hunting for women. After looking in the mirror and evaluating himself, the hero went to the table, knowing full well that with his face he would become a desirable couple for many women. Chu King decides to inspect the drawer in the desk. Opening the first one, he notices a bunch of letters with hearts. The box is completely filled with them, which causes them to fall to the floor. This causes a slight stupor to the guy, who comes to the simple conclusion that he is a high school celebrity in Jinmen's second high school. The guy decides to give up on everything, believing that he needs to leave this world as quickly as possible, so he sits down in the lotus position, preparing to start cultivating. He notes that the energy in this world is very rich and strong. Chu Ken realizes that with this energy, he will be able to recover all of his lost skills and abilities that he trained in. The guy begins to saturate his body with energy. When he feels that he has gathered enough energy, he mentally orders the opening of the corridor of space and time to return to his world. Night falls. The hero notes that he must leave this strange parallel world as soon as possible. He opens his eyes. Obviously, he spent several hours in meditation to recover some of his strength. It turns out that it was the golden wool practice that strengthened all of the guy's 5 senses. Chu King decides to test his abilities. Concentrating, he studies his surroundings. With it, he first gets into the room of his parents, and then into the room of his sister. The guy notices that mom and dad are already asleep, but his sister is not in her room. It's obvious that she hasn't returned home yet. The hero comes out of a state of meditation, remembering that in this world, men and women have switched roles, and it is not surprising that women go out late. Then the hero's phone starts ringing. Chu Zio's name is displayed on it. Chu King picks up the phone, clarifying what happened. My sister starts yelling into the phone. Her voice is worried and very scared. She asks you to listen to her first. She says that she is in serious trouble, but she asks her brother not to tell his parents and not to call the police. It turns out that the sister was taken hostage by 3 representatives of the fair sex. Chapter 1-5. Quickly, realizing that his sister is not joking at all, the guy anxiously asks what happened. Chu Zio also says that there is a black bag under her bed in her room. She asks to bring this bag to the Crescent Bar on the street, which she doesn't have time to say because the phone is ripped out of her mouth. A representative of the fair sex with short blue hair starts talking on the phone. She says that if a guy wants his sister to be okay, he should quickly bring her a bag to the 302nd room. The hero replies that he will do it, and then hangs up. After entering his sister's room and finding the necessary black bag, he opens the window. With the help of a ricochet from the walls, it descends down from a fairly decent height. Chu King becomes serious, mentally declaring that he won't let anyone touch his family. After some time, the hero gets to the Crescent Bar. He does not hesitate to enter room 302, where his sister is being held by 2 girls. He throws a black bag on a small table, claiming to have brought what they asked for, so he demands that they let his sister go. On a long, chic sofa, the same girl with whom the hero recently spoke is sitting impressively. In her hands is a bottle of something alcoholic. She gets up from her seat, noting that the guy in real life is much more beautiful than in the photo. The blue-haired girl leans over Chu Kin, wanting to know how old he is. The hero does not respond to provocations in any way, claiming that this is not the business of the interlocutor. Such inaccessibility begins to anger the fair sex. She looks down at the bag, then opens it. Inside is a huge amount of money. Chu Zio doesn't understand why there's so much money in there. It becomes clear that she was not aware of what was in the bag at all. The hero turns in the direction of his sister with incomprehension. He asks if she didn't know there was money in the bag. The guy notes that there is at least 1 million, so it is even difficult for him to imagine how she managed to get involved in history. What strikes him most is that she didn't know there was money in the bag. Chu Zio starts a conversation with that girl. She refers to her as Ju's sister and claims that she didn't know it was her money. According to the girl, Zio Lin told her that these were her personal belongings and asked her to keep them for a while. The blue-haired woman demands that the girl shut up, saying that no one dares to steal her money. She points out that Lin Xiaoan pretended to work for her, but actually stole her money. A representative of the fair sex notes that she is already tired of this. She zips up the money bag. Ju advises Chu Zio to leave the place before she gets angry. The hero's sister thanks the girl for this, then grabs the guy by the hand, starting to literally drag him to the exit. At this point, Zhu uncomprehendingly asks who told the girl that her brother could also leave. Chu Zio knows in his mind that it will be difficult to leave just like that. Chapter 1-6. Zhu puts a finger to her chin, noting that her brother looks very good. She honestly admits that she likes him, so Chu Zio can leave, leaving her brother here. A representative of the fair sex comes forward, closing the hero behind her. She declares that she will not allow her brother to be touched. The girl asks that Sister Zhu not involve her brother in the affairs of women because he is still young. This makes the other person laugh. She sits back down on the couch, issuing an ultimatum. Either my brother stays or she stays. Zhu warns that if it is Chu Zio who stays, then she will have to work hard to redeem herself. Then the hero's sister confidently declares that she is staying. She asks her brother to go home first, and she will come later. The girl emphasizes that he is a man, so it is not safe for him to be in such a place. In addition, she claims that this is her problem, and she should clean it up. Shu King steps forward, asking her sister if she thinks her brother is immoral. He confidently steps forward, putting his foot on a small table. He asks the old woman if she can help him, whether he should stay here. This puts everyone in a stupor. Hearing such rudeness in her address, the blue-haired woman begins to think that the interlocutor wants to die. She tells him that she will drag him to bed, where she will torture him and not even feed him. The hero also prescribes a powerful bream of the interlocutor. The nurse is so startled by what she sees that she covers her mouth with her hands. Zhu recovers quickly. She clenches her fist and attacks the guy with it. Shu King returns the blow. From the power of the fair sex, he is blown back, but he calmly slows down with his feet. The guy notes that this is very interesting. In his mind, however, he notices that women have great power in this world. The blue-haired woman grabs her injured arm, ordering her subordinates to attack him. Two representatives of the fair sex try to go to the guy from the back, but the latter is very vigilant. He leaps into the sky, where he strikes back. Shu King swirls in a whirlwind, causing all the attacking women to fall to the floor. When he finishes using the skill, all the girls are lying on the floor. The guy also notes that everything is over and they can go home. The hero grabs his sister by the arm, trying to take her away from the bar, but a voice from behind makes them stop. Zhu points the gun at the siblings, saying that if they take one step, she will shoot them. She suggests checking which is faster, him or bullets. Then Chu Zio steps forward. She claims that her brother has nothing to do with it, so she begs him to forgive her. These actions enrage the blue-haired girl, who screams that no matter what the girl says, she will still kill her right now. Shu Kin puts a hand on his sister's shoulder, saying that if Zhu wants it so much, then he is ready to serve her. Then the next door, which apparently leads to the VIP area of the bar, opens. A beautiful girl comes out with a cigarette in her mouth. She laughs, noting that this is a very interesting sight, so she doesn't understand how they didn't call her. She has gorgeous black hair, a red dress that even at a glance looks very expensive. Behind the representative of the fair sex are two bodyguards in black glasses and suits. Here the guest pays attention to the guy. She recognizes him as Chu King. The hero also realizes that this is the same girl that he saw when he first moved into this world. The guy quickly comes to his senses, asking why Yi Chengxi is here. This elicits a strange chuckle from the other woman, who casually reminds her that this is actually her place. The beauty informs Xu Yun that she will take the boy for herself, and that it is no longer her business. She also asks her to leave the place. Bluehair doesn't like this, so in a fit of anger, she calls her crazy, noticing that he wants to break the rules. Yi Chengxi repeats the girl's words that she wants to break the rules. Her face changes, becoming harder and more merciless. The owner of the establishment orders her bodyguards to take away this garbage. That is, cut off her hands and feet and throw them out on the street. Xu Yun goes into shock. She falls to the floor, starting to tremble with fear. At first, she apologizes, admitting that she was wrong, but when she is taken by the armpits of the hostess's bodyguards, she returns her opinion that Yi Chengxi has gone mad. After that, the brunette orders to cut off one of her legs and one of her arms. After that, she turns to the hero with an innocent smile, noting that this is a gift to him. She wants to know if he likes it. The guy turns his face away, wanting to know why she's helping him. Yi Chengxi rushes to explain his behavior. It turns out that Chu King is the first person who dared to talk to her like that. She notes that he is very different, and that he is really different from all men, so she decided that he would become her 36th boyfriend.